That's
Yeah, it's 9 o'clock.
What up, guys? Jason Guyman here with King of Pressure Washing. Tonight, I've got my special guest on that I know you all love, and we're going to talk about sales and how to get high tickets and how to have fun with a pressure washing business and how it can change your life and you can go from selling Coke, or I mean, selling Pepsi to selling water. And so it will be definitely something awesome to watch. Tonight, we talk about how you can get your average ticket up higher and by having an average ticket that is higher. So let's talk a little bit about what is your average ticket. Let's see what some of your all's average ticket is. This week, I was kind of down by your way, but I kind of wasn't Mr. Kentucky Pro Wash. I was down at Lake Cumberland for a couple days with some of the guys on water rescue, and it was a good trip to kind of get out on the lake and just had a nice houseboat that one of the guys on water rescue has, and got on the boat. And I did get a little bit of sunburn. I did get a dive in. It was 75 degrees. The lake was still 75, 76 degrees. And so it was a good time. You know, I had very little cell service, which is actually kind of a miracle in disguise when you don't have cell service and internet, and you just kind of got to look at the skies and see what's out there. But let me hear what some of your all's average tickets are right now, and then we'll get started on here. But before we get started, let's see. We got Kentucky Pro Wash in here. We got Jamie. I'm ready. We got Alvin. What's up, guys? How you doing, Alvin? How's Mr. Edwin doing? Aaron said $600. Good evening, Jason and Chris. Sean from Newfoundland is at, he says, hello. Can you clean brick steps? All right, let's talk about, first off, who are you? Where are you from? All of those good things, Chris. So that way, if nobody's ever know who you are, tell me just a little bit about who are you and your story.
All right, Chris Johnson. Been in the business for going on 18 years now. Been full time. This is my 5th year full time. We're in the Myrtle Beach, South Carolina area, and literally we started this from the ground up. Man, we're the Lowe's pressure washer, just trying to put food on the table. Um, Going in, went to corporate world about 2010 and grew in that realm and literally learned how to sell, learn how to do customer experiences, learn how to manage people. 2019, we left the corporate world and went full-time pressure washing, and we've been doing it ever since, and we hadn't looked back. And it's just it's a blessing, huge transition from what I was. Prior to 2006, I was an 8-year drug addict, basically a worthless individual, and got saved by the grace of God February 5th, 2005. And life has just, the trajectory has changed so much. Even in the last 5 years, we went from making, 14,000 a year part time to this year getting close to hitting between 800 and a million. I mean, it's an unbelievable ride I've been on, and I'm very thankful.
So one of the things that Chris and I both geek out on is talking about the disc profile and love languages, and this is something that Chris kind of got me going. I did it a little bit, and then when I got talking to Chris, he got me. It makes a lot more sense, and as I put the puzzles together, I still learn about it, right? I've been putting the puzzles together about sales, and that's always kind of made sense to me. But I've been also been putting the puzzle pieces together about how to keep employees, right? A lot of times I see people that I got good friends that they've been in business for a long time, and they can't keep an employee to save their life more than 6 months, right? They just the guys come in and they go out just as fast as they come in. And so, as I've been learning more about this, it makes more and more sense of how this applies. And so tonight we want to talk a little bit about how this will apply to get our average ticket over $1,000, right? I know a lot of times people can say you can't get that in my area. I seen a thread of someone from Myrtle Beach, and there was like 4 or 5 guys saying you can't get over $500 from this in my area. And so when you are doing this, this is something that will set you apart. And again, tonight I want to talk on sales, and it's not going to be more of an interview. It's going to be more so of me and Chris talking back and forth. And so that was kind of my goal. Chris is going to be doing the sales training with us down at in Raleigh at our next training class. If you want to go check it out, it's kpwtrain.com. It will definitely, you will learn all kinds of stuff from that. And so he will be there. So he gives lots of value, and that's, that's what the biggest thing is to give value for the Saturday class. So if you're doing Christmas lights on Friday, or pressure washing on Friday, or Christmas lights on Saturday or Sunday, Chris will be there on the Saturday, Sunday of giving value. And so from that, this is something that I think a lot of people struggle. So Chris, before we get too far, what was your average ticket last year, and what is your average ticket this year?
Right off the cuff, without looking it up, last year I think was around 1,400, I believe, if I'm not badly mistaken. So in 2019, our average ticket was somewhere around 3 or 4. Then in 20, it went to 5 to 6, and then it went to 9. Then it went to 12, 13. This year, my average ticket on straight up residential only, take all my commercial out of it, and I'm at 1645 this year. If you add my commercial back in, I'm over 2,000. I'm like right at almost 2,100 average ticket.
So
And that's
what are
three.
some things that you did to get your average ticket from $300 to $400 to over $2,000?
Well, you quote everything, and a lot of people have an issue with that. But here's the reality of it. If you don't offer the customer everything they need, I think you're doing a disservice. I think you're being a snake oil salesman.
Now, what if they don't need it?
Well, then I'm not going to offer something like if they don't need a roof wash, I'm not going to try to sell them a roof wash. But they do need their windows done after you're done because 95% of the time they're going to spot up. So it comes with the territory. They're going to need their driveway cleaned if they need their house. But people will only go to quote what somebody asks them on the phone to quote. And here's the reality, guys. This is the reality. We are the experts. We're the consultants. We're driving the ship. The customer is only along for the ride. They don't know what they need because they don't do what we do. Does that make sense? They don't
Absolutely.
know what gutter brightening is. They don't even know what oxidation on vinyl siding. They don't know. So if you don't tell them and offer that upsell, you're disserving them and you're ripping yourself off. It's just that simple to me.
So, what are some mindset shifts that you got to do to be able to get the higher tickets and ask for that stuff?
Okay, I'll preface that with this. So my salesman, he is my son-in-law. He is a very introvert. He's a very quiet guy. He's not very talkative in a crowd. You're not going to get him to stand up front and just like he's not me. He's the opposite of me. His average ticket is $1,300 with a 62% close rate. He's only been with me for about 4.5 months. Here's the difference in what he was and what he is. Mindset. He's already a confident guy. He's already a cocky guy to a degree. He's a very competitive guy, but he's a very quiet guy. So when we're talking about selling $4,000 gutter guards, we're talking about selling, $5,000 and $6,000 paver seal jobs. He was like, Chris, man, this is insane, man. This is a lot of money. I'm like, bro, it's worth it. And once he believed what we offer is the very best that he can get, he just closed a $12,000 paver seal job last week. He closes in the last 6 weeks, he's closed almost 6 or 7 multiple $1,000 gutter guard installation jobs because he now believes in the product. He's confident that what we offer is a necessity to the customer. And I don't have to now tell him if we're going for a gutter clean out, we offer a gutter guard. He tells me if they breathe the word gutter clean out, if they have a tree, I will sell them a gutter guard. That's the difference. He now believes in what we do. And guys, if you believe in what you do and you come across with a confidence, not a cockiness, not an arrogance, a confident attitude that I'm here to serve you at a high level and I know what's best for you, the customer. I'm here for you, but you need this. It makes all the difference in the world to the customer because they can read right through your crap, right? If you're trying to sell them a load of junk, they can read right through that. But if you're genuine and honest and you really are there to serve, they will respond to that. It is that simple.
So, and I do know his son-in-law. I got to meet him while I was down there, and he was actually Chris brought him up to the last Christmas light training. Him and a couple guys came up, and he is a very cocky guy, as in he's very confident in what he believes in that. And so I do poke at that a little bit because it is fun to see him, sit there and it is pretty cool. But let's talk a little bit about before we can get to selling these $1,500, $2,000, $3,000, $12,000 paver jobs. What are some things that we need to do to know about the customer? Is this something that we just come in there and say, we're the best pressure washing company. We are awesome, amazing. This is the paver sealing you need. You need this from the get-go. If you don't buy this, we're going to go. Or what are some things that we need to do before we get to that point?
So my son-in-law, it's a running joke now, and you may have heard him say this. I don't know. It's 45 minutes of customer interaction, of relationship building. And he says, I spend less than 2.5 to 3 minutes talking about what's on this paper. He has learned that from me.
I didn't know that. That's good.
Yeah. So when he first went in, it was all about the paper. He's like, I can't close. I can't close. I said, listen, when you go in, lay the paper aside, flip it upside down, sit back, put your hands on your knees and cross your legs and relax and start talking and talk about the pictures you saw on the wall when you come down the hall in the foyer. And who is this? Is this your grandson? Who is that guy in the picture that's in the military? Oh, that's my husband. Oh, really? And do a 30 to 40-minute conversation. You're learning so much in that 30 to 40 minutes. You're learning what they like. You're learning what they don't like. If you didn't pick up on the disc profile or the love language in the first 2 minutes of the conversation, I will by the end of it. And I will know exactly how to sell that person by the end of that conversation. And so the whole time you're talking, it's not that you're being sleazy. You're being genuine that you want to know who these people are. You want to know about their life. But in that conversation, it's not just a conversation. I am literally examining every word they say. And I'm picking up on the body language. I'm picking up on the sensitive cues that they don't even know they're doing. I'm picking up on every little thing that they do so that whenever I go to flip that paper over, I know I'm going to lock this deal up. And it's that simple, guys. It's a genuine relationship conversation, but you're doing it intentionally and you're picking up on cues to help you land the sale. And the number one thing you got to do at the end of all this, if you don't ask for the business, you just wasted 50 minutes of your life. You have to ask for the business multiple times.
Let's talk about that a little bit. If you're like, obviously, we talk about if you got the D, the dominance, right? You will ask for the sale every time. But
Sure.
maybe you're not that type of person that has that D, and you are. What are some ways that we can either put into a script so that way we make sure that we're asking for that sale at that point?
So a script, and a lot of times, if you're a high C on the disc profile, and I challenge you to go take the test. If you're a high C, quit selling. That is not your lane. It's never going to work for you. Stop doing it. You will always be defeated. You will get your mindset will never change. Don't do it. Just quit. Go do something else. Hire a salesman. If you're a S, that's what like 78% of the world is S's. If you're an I, that's an influencer. That's what I am. That's my dominant one is influencer. It's even higher now than my D because I'm working on bringing my dominating side, that alpha male dude. I'm working on killing him little by little so that he's not so in your face. I want him there a little bit, but I need that influencer side more, and the influencer side's growing on me. Um, but here's the thing: if you're an S, you focus on systems. You love systems. You're a systematic person. If you're a D or an I, you can kind of fly by the seat of your britches and you can make it happen. But here's the thing: you need to put a script in that at the end of the conversation, when I've went over everything with this customer that they need to go over, if it's a high D customer, they don't need to know everything I'm going to do. They don't. I know that sounds crazy, but they don't. They don't care. They don't care that you're going to water the bushes. They really don't care. They don't care that you're going to tape up receptacles. It's irrelevant to them. So once you've picked up on these cues from the customer, have a script ready that when I get to the end of the deal, John, this is $475, includes the house and the driveway, if that's all they need, right? Or John, this is $4,750, and this is doing everything from top to bottom. What do you think? And just shut up. Or you don't have to say, what do you think? I say that a lot. What do you think? Because I want to know what they think. Um, and if they say, well, I think it's high, good. I do too. But it's great. And it's wonderful. Uh, but here's the reality. When you tell them your price at the end, you've got to have enough confidence. This is where it comes into play right here. You got to have enough confidence that you're 100% the guy they need for the job they want. And your price is justifiably right for your business and your model of business that you have. My price don't have to be right for the dude in a truck at Walmart buying a Lowe's pressure washer trying to wash something. I'm not him. Your price is right for you and your business. Once you know that what I've charged is what I have to charge for my business, guys, it's your business. I don't care if my customer likes the price or not. That's irrelevant to me. It's my business. When you say the price, Matthew Stanley just said it. Don't say another word at all. Say it's $4,755. We can get this done this week. And boom, hush.
I want to say one more thing on that too, because I noticed you've been doing it too here is, and they know your body language, right? You look them straight in the eye and you tell them that. If you're looking down and you're looking away, they know you're not confident in that, right?
Right.
You can see Chris looking straight into here, looking into you and saying this right here. And it's the same way whether you're talking to me or a customer. Like you've got to be like, it's $4,752. What do you think? Not, it's $472. What do you think?
Right. Yeah, when you won't look somebody in the eye, it's a lack of confidence. That's just the truth, guys. So when you say that price, relax, sit back, cross your legs, say it's $4,775. What do you think, John? We get it done this week? And smile.
Well, I need to talk to my spouse.
That's wonderful, wonderful. I wouldn't ever want you to make this decision without your spouse. Are they available right now at all?
No, she's at work right now.
Is there any way we could give her a call and
Sure.
put her on speakerphone? And I would love, and it wouldn't take but just a minute of her time. Just prep her on the call. Let her know I'm going to be talking to her. But I don't want you to try to explain it later, because here's the difference. If you try to explain something that you've only heard for the last 30 seconds, I've been doing this for 18 years. I'm an expert at explaining what we do. You could never rehash what I just told you. And so all your wife's going to hear when she gets home is $4,775. And John, you know, it's way more than that. Right?
Absolutely.
So let's call her.
So I want to hit on a question here, because this it says, so you say to do remote quoting, and this is two different things, right? In person versus online quoting. Both can work well. Some work better than others. And so it's what works best for you. And then the last part of this question is what I want to hit on the most is how do I tell someone tell me how to not feel like crap when I sell a house wash for $1,500? Because you do not believe that you're worth $1,500 is what it comes down to.
Who was that? Did it just say Facebook user?
It just said Facebook user, yes.
If you have the guts, put your name on it, because I like calling people by name.
Right.
I don't just like using Facebook user, because you could be any troll on the internet that's a piece of crap that's trying to come here and cause trouble. So if you'll put your name on it, I'd love to address you personally on that, because here's the reality of it.
Oh, it's Sean.
Okay, Sean. Are you worth $300 an hour? Are you worth $500 an hour? Sean, are you worth $1,000 an hour? Are you worth $2,000 an hour? Because I'm worth $10,000 an hour. I'm just not making that yet, but I will. Don't ever doubt me. I will step on a stage one day and speak in front of a crowd, and I will get paid $10,000 for 1 hour of my common sense. I'm telling you, I'm worth that. Sean, what are you worth? You don't have to make $1,500 average tickets. You need to figure out what you're worth, and whatever you think you're worth, that's all you're ever going to get anyway. But you just need to examine, could you be worth more? Because listen, the guy that founded Kentucky Fried Chicken at 60 years old, and it's the largest producer of fried chicken restaurants in the world. Do you think his company is worth $40 billion? Somebody does. Was he worth that at 30? No. You understand what I'm saying? When you have the knowledge, when you have the expertise, when you have the tools to do the job, when you have all these things, it increases your value. And Sean, you have to be worth more than what you were 5 years ago. And you have to want to be worth more 5 years from now, or you'll never grow. I want to be doing $10,000 an hour things 5 years from now. But today I'm only doing $1,000 an hour things. But 5 years ago, I was only doing $100 an hour things. I hope that helps you in some way, but you're the one that's going to value your worth. I can't put your worth on you, but I can put it on me. Yep. Does that make sense? Does that help you? I hope to God that helps you. I hope it resonates with you, and I hope you look at your life and say, "Man, I am priceless." You can't even put a number on what I'm worth. That's where you need to be. I feel like preaching right now, like let it rip. You know what I mean?
Well, and it's true, right? Because a lot of times we don't believe that. We have poor mindset, we have religious mindset, we have all kind of mindsets that can put us to believe that are not worth that, right? We have, the poor mindset's probably the biggest thing that people struggle with, and that is a hard one. And I know the religious mindset. Like I was saying a couple weeks ago, they're giving in Sunday school talking about basically the poorer you are, the closer you are to God. And it's like, that's not the scripture, right? I can give you books of the Bible and Proverbs and different things talking about wealth and very successful men of God are out there, right? But you can get, and some people will be, and I mean, it was coming across the class, and I'm like, time out here. This is not what it's about, right? God, he gives out the talents, right? And if the one that came back with his one talent, he rebuked him. The other three, he praised. And so you got to believe this, and whether it's a poor mindset, I know we got a guy on here, he calls it the ghetto mindset because he's in the ghetto, right? And so it doesn't matter if you come from that mindset that you're not worth it. It's a bad thing. It's not good. It's not what will make you successful, and you will struggle until you can overcome it. And it takes a lot to overcome it. I still try to overcome. There's things that pop its ugly head up in myself that I don't believe in myself, or I don't believe I'm worth that much. And so these are things that you have to overcome. It's not just something that's just going to magically going to overcome.
And let me reaffirm one more thing. And I'm not just talking to Sean. I'm talking to everybody. There's 56 people on here, 57. There were 63 a while ago. I guess they got bored. That's okay. They miss out on life too. Hey, if you're the cheapest guy, guess what you will always be? A chuck on the truck. You'll always be, and that's not a slang, that's not a derogatory word. That literally means when you're 55 years old, you're still going to be the one pulling the trigger on the gun. You're still going to be the one going to do all the work. If you're the highest price guy, which I am in my area, hands down, nobody is higher than me. If they are, I raise my prices. The reason I do that, I want my guys to be in trucks that are decently wrapped, that are well run machines. They're taken care of. I want my guys to be in uniform. I want my guys to know if something breaks on the machine, we fix it immediately. I want my guys to know that we're working toward a health program for my guys to have health insurance. We're working toward having a 401k. We're working toward having paid week vacations at Rivertown Pro Wash next year. That's something we're going to implement. We already started this year doing paid days off for holidays. If you work a day before, day after, we're trying to give paid days off where these guys can have days off. When it gets slow, I can have them wash my house, wash the trucks, hang out here, go throw flyers, and we still get a day's pay. You cannot do that type stuff if you're the cheapest guy. You have to be the most expensive guy in your market. If you're not, here's the question. Would I rather give a customer that I've never met a good deal? Hear me out now. Would I rather give a customer I've never met? They may never call me back. They're not going to come to my party if my daughter has a birthday. They're not going to come to my funeral if I died tomorrow. They're not coming, buddy, okay? They're not coming. I'm not their freaking friend. They're my customer. I see them once or twice a year, okay? I'm going to give them a good deal just so I can say I'm not ripping anybody off, right? So I feel good, right? But yet my teammates, my employees, my wife, my daughter, my people on my team, they're going to struggle because I can't pay them more than $12 an hour to help me, because all we do is spray soap water on houses and rinse it off, right? Some of the guys on my team are making $20 an hour. We start our guys off at $15 or $16 an hour. I want to make sure that I charge enough to a customer that I can take care of my team. My team is more important to me than my customers. That's a fact. My team is more important than my customer. And I want to make sure I charge enough to take care of my team that's taking care of me, that's helping my family. I want to take them jet ski riding. I want to take them on fishing trips. Man, I want to do things for my team. You can't do that, guys, if you're the cheapest guy. I hope somebody's hearing me. You can't do this if you're the cheapest guy.
So Sean put, how do I fix the poor mindset? Definitely grew up poor and slowly fixing it, but how? My thought on this is you've got to get around people that are successful. When you're around success, it's amazing. You know, I was talking about earlier, I went on out on the Lake Cumberland on a $300,000 houseboat that a guy owns, that water rescue, and he's a very intelligent man. He's owned 11 businesses, and he's done very well for him. He's had one failure, and he was telling me about his failures, and you know, and it's about that, and you know, and it was more so about what his dad had told him growing up, is that you can do anything that you put your head to, and
Yeah.
you can do it, and even if you fail, you just keep doing it, and you
Yep.
will get where you want to be at, right? And it is so true. It is so true that you can do anything that you want, you know, and a lot of times we're not told that. And so what I always say is get around people who you want to be like, right? If you're around these 5 people that you're the top of those 5 people, you're never moving up from that. You will always be at the top, and you never want to go there. You want to be at the bottom, right? You want to be this guy, so that way you only got one way around. You know, Paul Gardner, he's another guy I talk about. You know, his goal is to be around 100 millionaires and billionaires. Why? Because that's where he wants to be at. And you
Yep.
know how you get there? That's where he's going to get there. Because when you're around that, you hear those words, you hear what they do, you see how they respond to their employees, you see that, yes, I'm going to have to pay somebody $100,000 a year for me to make 10 million or $100 million, right? I'm going to have to pay several people $100,000 a year. That's mind blowing when we don't even make that ourselves, right? But
Turn me up.
if you're around those people, then guess what? It's not so bad. It's like, oh, he's got 3 guys that are making $100,000. That must be what, you know. And so it makes sense when you start doing that and you start bringing these things together. And these are things. What are your thoughts on how to get out of the poor mindset?
I'll give you one thought. And so it's up to you whether you do it or not. It's all up to you, Sean. Okay. I was raised poor too. Poor is a mindset. 100%. There's nobody you've ever met that's poor. Even the homeless people on the street are not poor. They got a poor mindset. Now I've been broke. Homeless people, some of them are broke. I've been broke. I lived on $7,000 a whole year. Try that on for size. You talk about being poor, bro. That's poor. That was in 2006 after I stopped being a dopehead. That I promise you, that's broke. But I ain't never been poor. I've been broke. Poor is a mindset. I was raised poor because my whole family got a poor mindset. So here's what I'll tell you that'll transform your world in one short little 3-week deal. You can do an audio book or you can go buy the book. It's called Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. You listen to that book on audio every day while you work, and it will change your life because it's an examination of a child. One grew up poor, one grew up well off. The one dad's view on life, the other dad's view on life. That book, I listened to that book in 2019, And it radically changed my view from that day forward. I never thought the same again. It done something to me because I was raised like the poor kid that you always have to do that. You always be this, you always be that. I was told I was going to be in prison by the time I was 20 years old. I've been to jail. Thank God I never went to prison, never got caught. Amen. I mean, honestly, I never got caught or I wouldn't be here today.
Right.
I should have been dead by the time I was 20. That's all I ever heard. You're going to be in prison. You're going to be dead. You're going to be this. You're going to be nothing. You're going to amount to nothing. And that's what I believed. So that's why I ended up being a dope head. That's why I ended up a drunk. That's why I ended up half homeless because I'd always been told this is all you ever going to be. So I might as well fulfill the role. Now I tell myself, dude, you're the richest man I know. Man, I'm walking around in millionaire clothes. I am a millionaire. I'm going to be a multi-millionaire. I just ain't there yet. But my mind believes I'm there today.
Mm-hmm.
Read the book or listen to it on audio. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It'll change your world.
So I know we have talked about sales, but we've talked about a lot of mindset here, which I'm all about mindset. I believe this is what holds people back more than anything else. And even this right here, right? Mindset of giving people that I don't want the price and still getting the job, which opens your eyes, right? Because a lot of times what you will find out is when you give the price that you don't want the job and you get it, it means that you're not pricing enough in the first place. That means people will pay you to do stuff that's because, you know, if you set yourself up and answer the phone and kind of like what Chris was saying in the beginning, wear nice clothes and dressed up and you don't look like a bum and your truck don't have stuff falling off of it and you don't look like a hooligan. And so as you do this, these are things that will set you apart. And honestly, answering the phone will set you apart more than anything else. And, you know, I always talk about doing the little things, and answering the phone is a big thing. I talked about this the other day when I was doing carpet cleaning, getting my carpet laid at my rental house. He was like, I always get, man, you're the first person out of 6 people I've called. And what drove me nuts is, and about 5 minutes later, he's like, but I can't charge that much because I got too much competition. I'm like, dude, you know how much money you left on the table today? And he didn't. I'm like, you know, you could have, he charged me $155 to come to my house, put a piece of carpet down, and leave. And it took him about 2 hours. I was like, I was willing to pay $400 or $500 to get this piece of carpet laid because I needed it done this week, and he actually did it the next day. And I'm like, I would have been willing to pay it, but he was not willing to ask for it, and that's why he wasn't able to get it, right? And so when you set yourself apart by answering the phone, by doing these little things, it will help you so much in other ways to be able to get higher tickets. And that's all I'm trying for you all to do is how do you get higher tickets? You know, this is definitely, you know, like he put here, all mentality. It is, man. You would be surprised how much you're able to overcome. The 6 inch between your ears can be the greatest hurdle that you will ever overcome. And I want to hit on this here because Sean is he's in King of Pressure mentor or membership. And so is Chris, and every Monday night we come on the call, and Chris comes on most of them, and Sean. And Sean has really struggled. He really struggled about a year ago about mindset. And I know Chris has worked on him. We've all worked on him in there. And, you know, he didn't believe that he was worth that much. He didn't believe that he's a good, I think, didn't he tell us one time he wasn't a good salesman, right? He literally said he wasn't a good salesman. And so, but he's great at it. He was doing awesome, but he's like, I'm not great at it. And so, what are some things that you would tell somebody if they don't believe that you're a good salesperson?
What do you tell somebody if they don't believe it?
Right.
Um, I don't know. That's a hard one. I know what me and Sean talked about.
Well, let's go with what you and Sean talked about.
I know Sean, he's a good sales guy. And a guy's being a good sales guy, here's the reality of it. If you're genuine, you're honest, and you really have a heart to serve, you can be a great sales guy. Okay? Now, if you're trying to be a con artist and you're trying to woo and wane people and rip them off, you're not going to last long anyway. You're going to get found out. It's going to come to fruition. But if you're a great sales guy, you don't have to believe it. You just need to examine your life and ask yourself, why are you doing it? Why are you in the sales business, right? Not just pressure washing. Why would you sell anything? Let me ask you a question. Have you ever convinced your wife to marry you? I'm just asking.
Yep. I did it twice. The
So,
first time didn't work out very well,
so you had to sell it, right? You had to sell her on the dream that we still ain't fulfilled.
though. Right.
Okay. She bought into some kind of hype that I sold that I still hadn't fully fulfilled yet, right?
Right.
You had to just sell your kids on why it's a big deal to clean your room, why it's a big deal to be on time, why it's a big deal to follow through with your band practice because you're going to play Friday at the game. Guys, have you ever had to sell your brother, sister, mom, or dad on why we need this vacation, why this dress is better than that dress, why this pair of boots is better than that pair of boots? Guys, we're all salespeople. See, I'm under the mindset that every human being is a salesperson. Now, some people are better than others. If you're a high C, you're going to struggle with sales because you're not very confrontational at all. And so you can't deal with rejection very well. You're a very analytical person. You like numbers. You just put you in a little cubicle and you're happy, happy, happy. But you're still selling though, even as a high C. You're still selling the numbers you got as an accountant to the guy that runs the business and convincing him to quit spending money on stupid stuff. You're still selling. Everything in the world is sales, guys. You understand Christopher Columbus, he had to sell to the queen that the earth is not flat, ma'am, that we can sail around it and I'll be back and I will not run off the end of it. And he had to get her to give him the boats. Now he's in the boats and he's got all these men in the boats and they're rowing and they're rowing. And every morning they row. He has to convince those guys every day that we're not going to run off the side of the earth, guys. Come on, keep rowing. Row, boys, row. It's because he's a salesperson. But do you know what happened to Christopher Columbus? He never closed the deal. That's why we're not called the United States of Columbus. Emeritus Best, his last name is so hard to pronounce. Emeritus Best, something like that. But his first name was Emeritus. He is the one that actually founded America and put a stamp on it. That's why we're called the United States of America. How would it feel to be Christopher Columbus and you've sold this dream for months and months and months, and you never even closed the deal to put your name on it? Guys, that's how most of you are. You try and you try and you try, and then you don't close the deal at the end, and you think, I'm a bad sales guy. No, you're not. You're a bad closer. You're a great sales guy. You just suck at closing. So all you got to do is just ask for the order.
Right.
And 80% of the time, they're going to say yes anyway. The only time you got to do any rebuttals are like 20%. I'm talking about out of the 50% close rate, out of those 50, 80% of those are going to say yes right out the gate.
Mm-hmm.
Only 20% are going to say, I need to talk to my wife.
Yep.
Or can I call you tomorrow? So you only got to deal with that objection very little. If you ask for the close, you'll get 80% of them.
Right.
You'll go from a 10% close rate to a 40% close rate overnight if all you do is ask, because you are salesmen. You're in business. You got dreams. Just ask. The Bible says you have not because you
Yes.
ask not. Ask and it shall be given. I got thousands of those verses.
Hey, congratulations, Aaron, getting married in 27 days. Talking about, said that when you're doing that, he had to ask his fiance, right? You know, what did he put here? That it's really not even sales. People want to do business with people that they like, someone they trust, right? And this is important. You don't know if you don't ask. And this is probably one of the hardest things for some people to do. And that's where I was saying, if you have to put it in a script that, hey, we're at this point, we're in script mode, so that way we can get us to it, right? You might think that you're not born a salesman, right? But you can change things over time. It's going to be work, and you're going to have to work harder, and you're going to have to compensate, doing something else. But you can change what you need to do to help it out there. Chris, thanks for sharing. What are 3 things that needed to happen for you and your business before you came off the truck?
um, one thing is, I got my office admin first. So somebody was answering the phones. They took that off of me first. Um, a lot of people want to hire their first technician first. I disagree with that 100%. Um, I think you need to get an office admin first. And once somebody's answering your phones and scheduling, that's a big deal because they're answering the phone in a calm setting. They can answer it with a script. They can get all the information. It's not a, hey, yeah, I'm on the roof. Can I call you back at like 7:30 tonight? Yeah, just text me your information. All right, thanks. And you don't even say bye. That's the first thing. Second thing was hire you an assistant. Once you have an assistant, spend a few months with that guy and really pour into that guy and train him the way you want to do it. And I didn't do this. So this would be what I would do at that in that 3 months. I would, every time I trained him, I would have him hold your phone, record a video of you training him, a 5-minute video on how you do boom, how you crank a pressure washer. How do I do this? How do I roll the reel up? Why do I use a rag when I roll the reel up? Have all that on little videos. If you do that while you're training him, now you've got your training kit built for the next guy. I didn't do that, and I wish I had of. Now I'm doing all that now, 3 years later after not being on a truck. I'm playing catch up. Do that first. But once he's trained, hire an assistant for him. That way you get another guy trained because that guy may leave you in a month when you let him go. So have another guy getting trained. Once you have the 2 men on the truck, the admin in the office, come off the truck, go straight to sales or hire a sales guy. I went straight to sales. Like I will always sell to the day I die. I will sell something till the day I die. I just can't help it. I love it. But you need to get people trained on the truck, systemized, and the office admin or somebody answering your phone. You don't have to have a fancy office. I don't have a fancy office, man. I mean, you see the spray foam insulation behind me. I'm not this big like guru man that's got this 10,000 square foot office with mahogany wood. I don't have all that crap. I got a little tin shed out here in the yard, man. I put spray foam in. That's my office in my backyard. And I've only had it a year. Before that, I was in the spare bedroom. So you don't have to have this fancy stuff, but you need people in place. Answer the phone, a guy on the truck to train, then get an assistant, then you come off the truck. In that order.
So
Sweat.
We got about 10 minutes. If anybody does have any other questions for Chris, don't hesitate to ask or to ask. Mr. Tristan, he's always in our Monday night meeting too. Is Chris is the G, and so Tristan is a young entrepreneur, and it's really cool to see him growing. He also has a pretty cool YouTube TikTok channel. You can go check him out. Chris Nutter, or Nick Nutter is another one. I know he was up here earlier. I don't know if he's still in here or not. He puts a lot of information out. Obviously,
I'm going to see Nick, man, the last month of October. So I'm going up and I'm doing some ride along with him and his crew for about 3 days. Some in person training and I get to go hunting.
Nice. Yeah, Nick is a really cool dude. He came to our last year's in-person training class in October, and I believe he's out to do $1 million this year. He did the Christmas. He actually started with me on the online training about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I believe it is, and he's just blown it up huge. And so he's going to be he's knocking on $1 million door as we speak this year, if he does what he's shooting for in Christmas lights, which is freaking amazing, and it is cool to see it. He's just a young kid that, he's killing it, and that's what is awesome to see. And that is definitely something here. Great advice. This is a good question that Chris will love this question. And I just got to ask it. When should I upgrade to a trailer or skid?
Man, it literally depends on whatever you want, man. Dude, I can't tell you when that time is. I'm talking to a guy here locally. He's running a 5 gallon a minute machine, and he's like, Chris, I'm struggling with commercial. I said, well, you need an 8 gallon machine to do commercial. You just do. It's going to cut your time in half. And commercial, you got to charge so little on the price of square footages. You can't really do it with a 4 or 5 gallon. You're going to struggle. But man, you don't have to have a trailer. You don't have to have a skid. You don't have to have all this fancy stuff, man. A regular trailer build right now, I just looked at them the other day, man, with an 8 gallon hot water, a 500 gallon tank, 2 hose reels, and 100 foot of hose, and a 30 gallon chemical tank. Guys, that's a bare bones deal. That joker is $18,000. Man, I ain't doing it.
Right.
My advice, go on Marketplace. If you want to go to a trailer skid, right? Trailer. Find you a dual axle trailer, 12 feet long. Buy it, man, for, $500 or $600, $700, $1,000 max. I would buy me a 5 gallon cold water, or you can get an 8 gallon cold water. They're about $4,500 if you got the money. Man, I get you 2 little cheap hose reels, man. I wouldn't go buy no Titans. I wouldn't do all that. You don't need all that. You don't even need hose reels unless you just want the convenience of not having to roll it up at the end of the day. The hose reels do help when you're tired. They do. But man, you can have a whole setup for, less than $6,000, literally, and have a nice setup. Or you can do it in the back of your truck with a little teeny belt drive 5 gallon a minute machine. Get you a couple 100 foot of hose, and you got less than $3,000 in it now.
Well, and I always say, you're better off putting money in marketing than you are putting money in equipment. Everybody wants to put money in equipment. And my thing is if you're making good money on you're working yourself so hard that you've got so many jobs that you're 3-4 weeks out and you can't keep up, and you can maybe get another job or two in by upgrading your equipment. upgrade it. Otherwise, you're just wasting money. Another
That's right.
person that comes into our group, he did $160,000 last year with a 2.7 gallon pressure washer and a pump up sprayer. Literally, he and don't
Yeah.
have hose reels or nothing. Walter does. Right, and this year he's going to do over 200,000. The only thing he's done is upgrade it to a 4 gallon a minute. So I don't want to hear that you can't make money because of your equipment. Biggest reason why you can't make money is this shiny syndrome, right? Ooh, shiny toys, and I want it. And they will not pay money for marketing. Chris, do you agree to also talk to your competitors and tell them to raise your prices? We are pros and we can't all eat good. If not, then unfortunately I will eat good and you will not.
Um, if not, then unfortunately I will eat good and not you. Yeah, so I will send competitors my pricing. I will call competitors if I see a yard sign. I will call them. Hey, how are you, man? I'm Chris, Rivertown Pro Wash. Just want to meet you a little bit. Love to do lunch with you. Um, by the way, what are you charging? And a lot of times people are going to get offensive about that. Like, what do you mean? What am I charging? I'm like, and I tell them straight out the gate, look, I'm not trying to undercut you, man. I'm just trying to make sure you're not more expensive than me because if you are, I'm raising my prices. And here's what I charge. Here's my average ticket, 15, 1600 bucks. Here's what I charge for a driveway. Here's what I charge for roofs. What do you charge? And they're like, well, I ain't charging that. Why not? What's the problem? Well, I just, are you not going to try it? And half of them think I'm selling them a bill of goods. And honestly, they can think that, but I'm not.
Right.
Most people think you're trying to get them to raise their prices so you can beat them out. Man, I'm not trying to beat anybody on price. I want to be the Roos Chris of the exterior cleaning business from the day now to the day I die. I will never be undersold if I know about it. I don't care to be the cheapest guy. I just don't. No desire.
David Hamill put, I might be unique, but I never washed a house. Hired my first tech. Next was an office manager, then more wash techs, then sales, and then more salespeople. Hire slow and smart and pay for the best help.
Now, David is a guy to listen to as well. David is doing a lot. Trust me, he's got two businesses. I know this gentleman. He was in my Conquer group. Um, David's hitting big numbers. There ain't nobody in these groups right here hitting numbers he's hitting. I can promise you. I know his numbers. Um, and he's right. If you can hire a tech and never wash a house, man, that is golden. If you can hire the admin and hire the salespeople and never do the work, that is the ideal situation. Most people in this call are already on a truck. So now you need to work toward getting off of it. But David's advice, spot on. I wish I'd have never washed a house. I hadn't washed one in a long time. I am going out tomorrow to hang Christmas lights with my guys, though, because I want to do in-person training with my guys for the next 3 days. But after that, I won't hang any more Christmas lights either, by the grace of God. So I'm thrilled. I hadn't washed the house, man, in almost a year and a half, 2 years. It's been a good journey.
So again, if you want to go learn from Chris and myself and Donovan, KPW Train, it is going to be an in-person training. It is a hands-on training course. The pressure washing is Friday. The marketing and sales is from 8:30 to about 6 o'clock on Saturday. And Sunday is the pressure or the Christmas light training. There is one more training or one more question I want to hit because I want to leave you off with a golden nugget here. But I know you've talked about the training course. What are your thoughts? Why should people come to this training in Raleigh in October the 13th and 14th or whatever Friday, Saturday, and Sunday is?
Yeah, 13th, 14th, 15th.
Yeah.
So if you know pressure washing, this will give you a lot of tools to help you up your game on pressure washing. The systems, the paperwork Jason puts together is dynamite on it. It really is. color copies, dynamite. When you get to the Saturday sales training, it is the in-person training is some of the most uncomfortable stuff you'll probably ever go through. But it's needed. It gets you out of your comfort zone. It'll stretch you in ways you've never been stretched. You're going to get nuggets. This is just like a tip of the iceberg. I get turned loose for an hour, hour and a half. Jason's turned loose. Donovan, we do some crazy phone back and forth stuff. We'll let y'all do some phone back and forth stuff so you really get the feel of how to do things a different way. The most important one to me, though, personally, was Sunday. I got more out of Sunday's training than I got out of anything because we're fresh into the Christmas light business. Last year, this is our second year. So the Christmas light training I went to last year is one day, and it's about 7 hours, 8 hours long. And honestly, when I left that building that day, I did not have any more questions about how to install Christmas lights. It was that informative. It was that dynamic. And I was very appreciative that man, they poured so much in. Like there's nothing I had to ask when I left there. I'm like, I got it. I got this. I even took all my guys this year in September and I let them sit through the Sunday training because I really believe in it. And I just think it's a great course Jason's putting it on. I think these guys have a heart to serve. I have a heart to serve. I think Jason does too. I don't think he's in it for the money. I mean, I know he's getting paid, but I don't think like that's his ultimate goal is just to make the money. I literally believe he would let you come if you didn't have any money. I really genuinely believe that. Donovan wants to help people. I just believe these guys are straight up and some of the most genuine people I've ever met. And I enjoy it. I love it. I'm glad they let me help them when I can.
All right, so I'm going to ask one more question because sales is a lot about answering to I don't even know what the question is. Objections, overcoming objections. I've lost my train of thought there. Overcoming objection. And this one here is, what is the first thing you should say to a customer when they say the price is too high?
Okay, so when a customer says the price is too high, and guys, again, it's all situationally based because certain people I have to say different things to. On a generic level, what about the price is too high? And that is a genuine question. What about the price is too high? And I'm waiting on their response to hit the next question. Because if they say, well, the last guy was 350, you're at 1384. Well, ma'am, is the only comparison you're comparing me to is a guy at $300. Because I got to know where their mindset's at on the price. I got to understand why they think it's too high. The first thing, I got to peel that onion back. Once I figure out they're comparing me to a guy that don't have insurance, to a guy that don't have workers' comp, to a guy that don't have the systems we have, to a guy that don't have the machines we have, to a guy that don't have the customer service we have, he's not going to call him back in a year. Now I've got a little bit more ammunition to where I don't have to throw this guy under the bus. I just go back through my stuff. And I'm like, ma'am, well, here's why our price is the way it is. You slow down your cadence. You get in a very deep voice and a very direct content looking at them. And I go through very slowly. Ma'am, here's what separates me from them. Here's why our prices have to be this way. And it's boom, 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 boom. Ma'am, if price was not an issue, and here's the final thing I say after I go through everything. If price was not an issue, would you choose us or them? 99.99999% of the time, they'll look at me and say, I would choose you if I could afford you. And I'll say, if it were my home, I wouldn't let a little thing like money stand in the way of my most valuable asset I have, letting an underperforming company come and mess up what I've worked so hard to get. I personally wouldn't do that. And I don't think you will either. Do you want us here on Wednesday or Thursday of next week?
So if you want to learn skills like that, KPW training's the only thing I can tell you about that, man. And we will go over a lot of this in the class, all kinds of stuff. If you want to go check out kingofpressurewash.com, you can find out all the, I have in-person training. We have Monday night Zoom calls where Chris gets on, a bunch of people get on, and we talk all about how to close, how to do all of that good stuff. And then the last thing is too, if you want to know when I go live, you can text the word King, K-I-N-G, to 859-696-1101. Chris, before we jump off here, what are some words of encouragement for someone either starting out or trying to grow the pressure washing business?
I only have one or two little things to say on that. One, develop a why. Why are you in why are you in this business? Why did you start any business? If you don't have a why, I want you tonight, before you lay your head down, I want you to go examine yourself and see why you do what you do. Because if you do not have a why, when troubles come and hard times come, and they're going to come, you will quit. Your why has to outweigh the problems. That's number one. Number two, never give up. And my shirt says average sucks, because it does. Average sucks. So never give up. That's a Michael Burnoff shirt, by the way. He's a great salesman too. I like that joke. Get a why. Understand why you do what you do. Have a reason. And then develop a mindset that no matter what, I will never give up. Ever.
Awesome. Rich, I want to hit on some, I don't know if you watched my last live on Wednesday for Christmas lights. I would highly suggest you go watch it if you haven't. It was with me and Philip. I would highly recommend you go watch it, bro. Um, I'm here for you, and I know I want to help you in any way I can. And go watch that video. And if you need to message me later, I would more than happy be willing to. Or if you want to even message Philip, he will be more than willing to. Ambrose, he would be more than willing to help you too. I'm challenging you. If you did not see my Wednesday at 4 o'clock on my Christmas night channel, please go see that. But other than that, I hope you all have a great night, and thank you all for coming, and we'll see you all later.